Welcome back, and if you've just joined us, we're building up to the Springboks playing the Barbarians at Wembley Stadium in London, and we have our team out there in London keeping an eye on the preparations and giving us a feel for what it's like right there in the stadium. So we can cross live now to Owen Nkumane, who is on the ground there. He's been part of the build-up towards this game as well. So over to you, Owen. Okay, well, let's have a look at that Springbok side. As he says, no changes, what you can expect on the menu as far as the talent on show today. Interesting fact, Patrick Lambie and Tendai Mtawarira, between the two of them, have more caps than the rest of the side put together. So there you have it, Jesse Kriel at fullback, 4 fresh faces on the wings and as well as in those centre berths between Ruan Janse van Rensburg and Francois Venter. Patrick Lambie lining up next to Rudy Page, Nizankar and Opa Mohoje, with Roelof Smith, another new face in the loose forward combinations, with RG Snyman lining up next to Pieter Steph de Toey. Pieter Steph de Toey, of course, having played that New Zealand game, will look to see what he can do about improving the Springboks results today. Laurens Adriaanse lining up next to Malcolm Marx and Tendai Mtawarira. Laurens, of course, Vincent Koch not available for this. Loads of players not available for this match. And then, as far as the substitutes are concerned, Lizo Kroboga getting an opportunity there. Bongi Manambi and Trevor Nyakani on the bench as well. Eben Etzebeth, an unusual spot for him, sitting on the bench. And then Jean-Luc Dupree and Tiaan Schoeman might have an opportunity to also make their contribution today. Ruan Kombrink makes a return from injury. Gentlemen, so from these uncapped players, you guys have been foaming at the mouth about Roelof Smith, but everyone is talking about the fact that we have all of these young, new faces in the back line. What kind of pressure does that put on Patrick Lambie to really get the best out of all of those new guys coming in?
Well, I don't think it puts pressure on him, to be honest. I think the captaincy might put pressure on him. You know, he's coming back from, to be quite honest, an horrific head injury, let's be honest. And I hear, I don't know how true it is, but he's still having the odd migraine headache and battling to overcome those. So I would think the captaincy might weigh a little on his shoulders. He's got a very old head on those young shoulders of his. He's very experienced already. I've no doubt he'll overcome that. What is exciting is those players outside him for me. You know, Jesse Kriel back at fullback, Sergio Peterson, Ulenga, great speed, great vision on the wings, and a centre combination that we've all been crying out to see play together, and they've got the opportunity today. I'm very, very excited to see how this backline goes.
Nas, speaking of that centre combination, defence is something we kept on discussing for the last few months. Do they offer enough defensively?
Elma, I really wish we can move on from defence, because for the last 10 years, South African rugby is based on defence. You sit here in the studio and ask me, I've done it long enough, and every time everybody wants to fix the defence. But if we want to become number 1 or 2 in the world, we need to start scoring tries, and more tries than the All Blacks and. So that's why I'm excited about this. I would rather go for a guy that maybe can create and score more tries, maybe miss 1 tackle. He should be covered by 3 very good loose forwards, and that's the end of it. What I don't want is, I don't want us to start telling everybody this is a good guy because he can defend. Defense is a team effort. But we need to really, really move on, because for so many years we've won World Cups, whatever, with attitudes of let's go and defend and then play from there. Where I still believe these guys has got enough in them to create and start creating, and that's what we need to do. We need to outsmart. How many times have we heard when Australia beat us? Oh, we outsmart the box. It's time that we start outsmarting the people, the other teams. And I think today, but I do have one question, because we're trying to find a new fullback, isn't it? Now, Jesse Kriel, for me, tactically, is not the strongest fullback. He can't come in at number 10 while Pat is on the other side.
I've got the answer for you now.
And really play tactically and get it into the corners.
Brayton has an answer, but Brayton, have you got the answer to that trivia question about who the first player was to line up against the Springboks for the Barbarians? It was in the year 2000.
I've got it. It was Naka Drosky,
hey.
ex-coach of Free State. But now speaking about fullback and players trying to find their spots in the game, one thing that we've learned from the international season is that, we're not going to play players out of position anymore. But for me, guys, I don't know what Joel thinks. We need to look at a guy like Ruan Kombrink becoming a fullback. He kicks with both feet. You know, he's very strong from the back. He can counter-attack. And he's got so much confidence. He's a real footballer, if you like. So I'm really starting to think that maybe he could be the answer. If you look at the wingers coming through, we have a flurry of wheelers coming through now. It's Sergio Peterson, who I really enjoy. Jambao Lenga, we got Travis Ismail, Liliolan Zaso. All of a sudden, there's guys to pick from. But we're going to have to need these players, Nas.
Oh, totally. And I totally agree. That's why I thought today it's a great opportunity for a number of positions where we do have a slight question mark. Maybe to put in guys that we thought, oh, that might be a nice one. So I'm looking forward. It's like you mentioned, we all mentioned Roelof Smith.
Yeah.
You know, he needs to give us the answers today for next week. But, you know, the rest of the guys, I think we've got class here. But we needed to move forward now.
But just to add to that, Ruan Comrick's coming back from a nasty injury, so it's his real first game back. Willie Leroux started on the wing as well. Unfortunately, I don't think he's really stepped up at international fullback, but I think you are right, Brady. I think this is a bloke who can step up and deliver in that role.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those are the thoughts of the gents here on set with me. But, of course, as I said, we have a team over in London, and Owen Nkamane and Robbie Kempson have some thoughts on what they expect from this game.
Thank you so much, team. Yes, former Springbok prop forward Robbie Kempson joins me, my co-commentator Robbie. Pressure on South Africa, but what a great opportunity to rebuild.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of pressure, but I think, you know, rebuilding, a lot of youngsters going out today in both sides. Robert de Pre playing for Barbarians, and, you know, anything can happen. Is there an injury, or if there's an injury in the Springboks side, maybe one of these guys from the Barbarians can come into the Springboks for next week's test match.
One of the aspects of the games that let South Africa down during the Rugby Championship was that defence. What are you looking forward to today?
So I hope we throw the ball around a bit. I know Alice Kutsia would want more of a conservative game plan for South Africa, but, you know, a lot of youngsters in this team and a lot of exciting youngsters, particularly out on the wings, Lenga and Peterson. So, you know, so hopefully they give the ball a bit of air, give it a bit of a crack. Forwards, we should have dominance over their forward pack, and you think towards the latter part of the game, our fitness should come through as well. But, you know, I'm looking forward to an exciting running game from South Africa, and more possession as we perhaps had in the championship, and more control of the game, particularly from Lambie at fly-off.
Roelof Smith has got big boots to fill. He's taking over from Francois Lowe. I mean, let's talk about a youngster coming in from the Bulls. Not too many Super Rugby Test caps either. I mean, what do you expect from Roelof?
He's going to have a big game. I think, you know, the six is open for next week against England. So if he has a big game, he gets stuck into the side, and, you know, he's up against some fairly decent players in Brad Shields on the other side. So, you know, if he has a good game today, he can really set him up for the Test matches going forward.
Also looking forward to the leadership role of Pat Lambie taking over. As we all know that Aiden Strauss ended this international season. Pressure or an opportunity for Patrick Lambie?
Listen, Pat takes everything in his stride. He's very relaxed. We interviewed him yesterday. You know, he's looking forward to it. You know, it's the manner in which he portrays and takes the team, and he's very calm and collected. And I think he'll do exceptionally well for South Africa, particularly as a captain today.
Well, I must say, you look quite snazzy in your suit. Let's talk about the nice stuff. What's your take on the game? What's the scoreline?
I think South Africa should win it around about 10 points, and I think we can look forward to some exciting running rugby this afternoon.
Exciting running rugby. That's the call from Robbie Kempson. I hope South Africa does win this game. I think if anything, we're looking for improvement. They must be able to control the game and start the tour on a good note. With that, a win today will set up next weekend to be a blockbuster.
Weather-wise, it looks like a nice day in London, comparatively speaking. Of course, the Barbarians side lining up for this occasion features Brad Shields, Michael Fatialofa and Reggie Goods, all from the Hurricanes, of course, after they ended their 20-year wait for a Super Rugby title this year. Richie Muanga and Jordan Taufua from the Crusaders also feature, even though Richie's not starting. And then Matt Faddis and Luke Whitelock from the Highlanders. This is really loaded with Kiwis. A lot of people talking about that, but it's interesting how many Aussies there also feature on this team sheet, with Toby Smith, Sam Carter, Luke Morahan and Paddy Ryan also included. A number of South Africans, of course, can't miss those names. Robert du Preez for the Stormers lining up next to Andy Ellis should be a great opportunity for him to play alongside Crusaders and All Black stalwart. And then we also have Martin Miller representing South Africa in the lock pairing, Akker van der Merwe in the front row. Reggie Goods, of course, also South African born, and Schalk van der Merwe and Ruan Ackerman on the bench. Gents, the names that really stand out for you here?
Not many.
Not many.
Not many. But look, I mean, to be frank, it's the also-rans, isn't it? It's the guys who are not in the test teams. It's the guys who aren't in an extended Springbok outfit. It's I don't think it's a great team. Obviously, Andy Ellis comes with great pedigree, but he's towards the end of his career. And Robert du Preez, I'm not sure if he's going to make it, Nas, as a 10, but to see him in the Barbarians, it's a team that maybe is desperate to find a couple of young players.
And it's an interesting question, which one of the two brothers, the Dupree family, are going to be supporting more seriously today, with Robert running out on the one side and John-Luc on the other?
It's easy. You support the winner.
You support the winner. So you decide afterwards. That's how you make that.
You know what worries me a little bit? You mentioned quite an influence of New Zealand players. Okay. Now, last night, you told me the Maoris did beat the USA.
Yeah.
Now, today, it's New Zealand against Ireland. Now, is this the third New Zealand side that's going to beat the Springboks? Because that's what Justin Marshall said the other day. You remember?
Yeah.
So I you know, it's like Joel started off by saying it would have been fantastic to see the real names in World Rugby, but they're also busy this weekend in any case. But as I mentioned, I think it's just a fantastic opportunity to play for the Barbars. There's no pressure. I don't know if they do train lately, because in the past they had like a 10-minute run,
and lots of beer.
And lots of beer.
Yeah,
so maybe the youngsters take it a little bit more serious. Huh?
That's been the talk out of London this week, is that they've been lifting dumbbells and not pints for a change, and that they have been training every day. So it seems like Robbie Deans has been cracking the whip a bit.
Well, I think it's Robbie Deans cracking the whip, but I think it's also a bunch of guys who understand that if they are going to go out there and do the Jersey pride, they've got to maybe put in a little bit of extra effort. They can't depend on a bit of team spirit and a lot of skill and ability. But coming back to Nasser's point, you know, for maybe we should look at it from the Springbok perspective, from our future, and say this is a great opportunity for a lot of young guys to wear the green and gold, albeit not in an official test match, and really put their hands up for next week and the next week after that.
Baraiti, tell us about the Barbarians experience and running out in that jersey and what it means for a young player.
Yeah, it is kind of special. You know, when I was selected, I really felt honoured and proud to be representing that Barbarians jersey, because, you know, it's been tradition that over the years, if you get picked, obviously a couple of years back, it was a massive honour. So, you know, like Nas and Joel alluded to, you know, lots of drinking and partying and not so much training, but, you know, that's part of the fun. And I tell you what, the camaraderie, the players you meet, the friendships you make in a week like that. I was very fortunate. I'll never forget my first interaction with the Barbarians. We were very privileged to stay at the St Andrews Hotel in Scotland on the golf course. And guess who joined us as a guest for that week was Prince William with his 10 bodyguards. So we were in good hands. So, you know, we had such a good time. It was such a wonderful week. and that spirit of the Barbars, people love to be part of it. And that's a kind of, you know, sort of, you know, I would almost say niche you know, involvement you have with that. So these players must enjoy every second and minute of this week, because it only comes by maybe once or twice in your career.
Interesting, the upcoming fixtures for the Barbarians after that is that they travel to Prague to go face the Czech Republic, and then they also play Fiji. So certainly an exciting 3 weeks if you are part of that Barbarians side. We cross back live to Wembley now, where Owen Kamane is standing by with an alternative opinion from someone who knows the conditions around there very well and is, well, also attuned to Barbarians rugby. Stuart Barnes.
The game has changed. The ethos of the Barbarians haven't changed much. Stuart Barnes joins me. Stuart, thanks for joining us. I mean, another great opportunity and for the Springboks and actually the Barbers. Yeah. You've played for them before, and what's it like?
It's an interesting thing, the Barbarians, because you get a lot of very fine players, but players who aren't playing for their international team. So there's two ways of looking at it. You've got a chance to make a mark, and the Barbarians always picked players to say, come and prove you're worth it. But there's also this sense of really enjoying it, even going back to my playing days. You know, there would be beers for us, as there has been at the start of this week for the Barbarians, but you get the guys together on match day and they're really wound up. I mean, I remember playing fly half against Wales in the late 80s. Nick Farr-Jones was captain, Jerry Guscott was outside centre, Joe Stanley was our inside centre. Joe went out for a few beers the night before. I was given the task of getting him out of bed before the Friday training. He didn't get out of bed, we couldn't complete the training session, but we beat Wales. That's the sort of essence of what the Barbarians is.
Let's talk about this. I have so many South Africans, this Barbarians team, Robbie Deans, and an accomplished coach. What do you think their ethos will be? South Africa lost last time they went out. They must fancy their chances.
I think they will. I mean, I like the look of this New Zealand back row. I'm very interested in seeing Robert du Preez play, and that makes it all the more fascinating with Pat Lambie coming in and seeing if he can come the sort of middleman between the excessive energy of Elton Jantjies and the conservatism of Mornay Steyn. And I think definitely Alistair is hoping that happens. But du Preez, it's a chance for him to put a marker down. It makes it really interesting there. And I think South Africa, unlike a lot of people, they're my idea of the favourites here. It means a little bit more, there's more pressure, but the Barbarians will be dangerous because they'll want to win, but they don't have anything to lose.
Well, thank you for chatting to us. So more important, we'll see you next weekend with a big one when South Africa take on England.
Well, it's 11 or 12 games since England have won. They're due a win, but who knows?
Enjoy today's Stu.
Thank you, Owen.
Well, gentlemen and lady, Elma, that was Stuart Barnes. We'll chat to you guys later on to get more insights from Robbie Kempston.
Thanks, Owie and Stuart. Now, we've received a number of tweets asking if Joel has lost his razor or what's going on here. Are we growing a new beard? Joel,
Yeah.
Martin Godfrey wants to know, can he help you out?
Yeah, I can, but only at the end of the month. It's
Okay.
November month, isn't it?
Yes.
So I'm growing a November moustache. I drew out the hat in the office. I drew the abracadabra moustache. I'm not sure what that means.
What does that look like?
But I've got to get these little twirly things going by the end of the month. So I'm going to look absolutely appalling.
Cannot
But
wait.
the growth is just part of November.
So, okay, support the good cause.
Raising money for a great cause, yes.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. Brayden Paulse, it looks like you are raring to go, standing by with the all-important matchups for today's game.
Yeah, let's talk game plan, ladies and gentlemen. And it's kind of hard to talk game plan in a game with the Barbas are involved, Nas and Joel. But two players who are going to be very busy today is Roelof Smith, who we've spoken about. He had a fantastic Currie Cup for the Blue Bulls. And Jordan Taufua, this guy can run all day long, Jolie.
Yeah.
Two players, they're really hard workers, if you like.
Yeah.
And it's good to have these kind of guys in the respective teams.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see from their same height, same weight, and very, obviously almost the same in terms of their physical ability. And the one thing we do need to point out for the fans there is that for us, the open side wears the 6, and for the Barbarians and the rest of the world, they wear the number 7. But really for me, I have been unbelievably impressed with the way Roelof Smith has come on in the last 5 or 6 weeks. In the Absa Currie Cup or the Currie Cup, he's been sublime. And as a fetcher, as a ball carrier, as a tackler, he's a real complete player. He's sensible. He looks to offload. He's a clever player. He's gutsy, determination, and it'll be a great challenge between him and Taufua today.
Joel, maybe an opportunity for him to stake a claim for next week, considering we're a little bit thin, at number 6.
Absolutely, and if you consider, for me, Francois Louw has looked a little bit tired in the last few test matches, and I think the reality for poor old Francois is he's playing a 12-month season, isn't he? He's playing his 8 months in the UK, he's coming back for the test window in June, and then into championships, and he's not really getting a rest, so he probably needs a rest. And I just look at Roelof Smith, he might be the young guy who comes in and fills that spot incredibly well.
And then Jordan Taufua, what a player he's been for the Crusaders. And Nas, he probably will walk into any team in the world, if you know what I mean, because, the All Blacks have got such great loose forwards at the moment, and he's waiting for his opportunity.
Yeah, but I think the secret, and you just mentioned it, he's waiting for his opportunity. And I think that's the thing that worried me a little bit about South Africa, South African rugby, is that, you need to, I want to say, to earn the right to move on and move higher. And we sometimes, after 3-4 games, we just want to turn players into international players. And that worried me a little bit. But it just shows you maybe that's where we are a little bit, Brighty. We're trying to force heroes. And heroes will come with time. Roelof Smith, give him enough time. He will come through. And if it's next week, it's fine. If it's a year later, it's fine. But I'm guarding a little bit against this whole thing of after 2-3 games, you're suddenly an international player. Life is not that easy, and I think, we need to sit back a little bit sometimes and let the guy just prove his worth really in 1 or 2 seasons. Then we start talking serious rugby.
Well, I like the words of the great Nas Botha. You got to earn the right to be a Springbok. That is certainly true. And going to the number 10s, the fly-halves, what a crucial position at the moment, especially from a box perspective, guys. We haven't really found somebody, who want to actually say, hey, that's my jersey. Elton Jantjies had a bit of a run. Joel, it's been tough for him. And now Patrick Lambie is back. Andre Pollard is still injured. But Robert de Pre, is he in line maybe to take over one day and get an opportunity?
Well, I think we did find someone. Andre Pollard, for me, was that guy. And unfortunately, he's injured and he's missed this whole season, really. I think Robert du Preez, and going back to Nasser's point, I think he's a young guy who's learning the game still, and he's got a way to go. He's got to be given the opportunity and to step up, and maybe let's see if he can step up. And today is part of that learning curve for the youngster. He's done pretty decently in the Currie Cup, did well at times in Super Rugby. Today's it's just another step up. Can he get there? That's the big question. Pat Lambie, on the other hand, is a player with all that experience, and today is I suppose comeback day for Pat Lambie.
Pat Lambie, and I would like you to talk about him. And is he the man maybe for the job? We saw him playing at 15, against the All Blacks in the Wallabies, and they had a bit of a tough time. Is Pat that guy? We all know he's really cool. He's got all the potential in the world.
Yeah, I still believe he's the best position to play him is fly-off. And we've got, to be honest, we've got two better fly-offs in World Rugby at the moment, in Pollard, but he's injured now, and Lambie. And it's two different kinds of fly-offs, if you can look at it that way. Because, if Joel, and the way I look at it is sometimes when there is half a gap, Lambie will look at it, he will test you, he will get your attention, and then the ball will move. Where the bigger guy like a Pollard will actually, he's big enough to force the gap, So that's why I say it's two different kinds of fly-offs. And that's the way we need to look at it. I think Pat he's a fantastic fly-off in the way he can really sum it up, dominate and create. Where sometimes if you're the bigger fly-off, you're not really always summing it up. Because why? Because you can force it a little bit.
I think there's another point to Pat Lambie's game at 10 that maybe actually plays into exactly what you've said, and that is that he's not always flat. In fact, he's actually not flat a lot of the time. And when that half gap opens, if he was a bit flatter and harder, he'd run into that space. But he comes from depth. Sometimes it's a good thing. But I think in the modern game of rugby, a 10 has got to be able to play on the gain line. And Pat, for me, doesn't maybe do that well enough just yet.
But Nasser and Joel, talking about the coaching area, of the Springboks at the moment, and we've seen a lot of players who couldn't really make that step up. A guy like Damien Dalinde, he's suddenly, in the wilderness a little bit. Surely you, as a coach, you need to install and implement confidence into the players, and we haven't seen enough of that this year, right?
Yeah, I believe a number of players is actually a little bit in between at the moment. Because the thing is, you go back, and we can only talk with what we've seen so far, okay? You talk the midfield. I think there's a little bit of a tendency, they must take the ball over the advantage line. So the ball is not really going through the hands. And then everybody complained after Ireland and said, but please, boys, we're not playing the ball outside. And then suddenly the midfield, they never even looked up. They take the ball and they just pass. And that's also not creating anything. That's just putting the pressure on the outside players. And it's totally true what you say now. It's a little bit of coaching because, you need to do a little bit more than just, it's either this or that. And that's why I think at the moment we're talking different game plans. And Springbok players should play any game plan.
Brady, to your question, though, and to be perfectly blunt, these poor young backline players have not had a coach in the last little while. I mean, that's the reality. Zwandile Stick is a lovely guy, good player, learning his straps. He's like a young player who's still learning. I think now that he's got a bit of help from Franco Smith to mentor him and help him, the fact that Brendan was involved a bit, I think we might see that confidence coming through. We might see some coaching that assists these young guys to make the step up.
Well, good to see Franco Smith in the mix as well, because when we watched the Cheetahs in Currie Cup, it was all about attack, and hopefully they'll create a little bit more. And that's what we want to see. Nas spoke about create more, and we need to create more. We need to score more tries to be able to beat the big teams like New Zealand and England, Nas.
Yeah, but it worries me if we talk about a Springbok setup and we're talking about coaches, because for me that's the national side. And only the best should coach them, and that's the end of it. And only the best should play for them. That's the other point, you know. So let's rather move on the game.
Also, good luck to JP Ferreira, who's now coming in to help the defensive side of the box. So hopefully we will learn a lot going on to this tour. Well, these guys make me excited because Seta Tamanivalu, the ex-Chiefs man, and also had a taste of international rugby for the mighty All Blacks. He's in that Baba side. So this midfield battle, guys, Ruan Jansen van Rensburg, there's been cries out for him to be in the side, Joel. I'm looking forward to this battle.
Yeah, very much so. And you're right, Tamanivalu is an experienced player, big, strong, powerful as well. I like the way he plays. He runs good lines. He looks to offload. And it's going to be that interesting contest. You know, the midfield battle is always such an intriguing part of the game. And in the modern world of rugby, it's about decision-making, it's about carrying it up, it's about a combination of guile and strength. And both these players have got it. And you know, just to see some of these clips on Ruan Jansen van Rensburg, he too had a little injury and he's back and he's back in the fold. I am so excited to see this young guy getting a chance.
Yeah, but Joel, you're talking about decision-making. That's what it's really all about. And if we look at the last 9 internationals, those internationals, we can look back and say, and we've got quite a number of question marks on decision-making.
Yeah.
It's all about decision-making. And we haven't really seen the best decision-making.
No, we've seen poor decision-making,
yeah,
to be frank.
up till now. So hopefully, that's why we say, Elma, it will be nice today because there's pressure, but less pressure as it goes on this game. And it would be lovely for these guys to actually come and show us they can do the job.
Do we want to see them win at all costs, or do we want to see what we have in terms of, you know, showing what these individuals can bring to a game and maybe playing a bit more expansive? They're playing against a less structured side, or that's the anticipation. Give them a bit more freedom, less structure?
No, if you have the skill, you've got more freedom in any case because you create your own space and you make your own decisions. The most important thing is it's a Springbok game and we have to win. That's it. There's no question mark. And the thing is, if we start worrying about, and I know sometimes maybe it just doesn't come out right, but if we start worrying about the Barbarians game and the Italian game, then our rugby's in any case in trouble. You know, that's the way I look at it. We should be very dominant. We haven't been this year, but we should be dominant throughout the world. Wherever we play, people would look at us and say, I actually would like to play somebody else. Yep. Now, at the moment, I think everybody wants to play against us, and I don't like that.
But the reality as well, if we are to become a leader in the world and overtake the All Blacks, we have to advance our game plan. There's no doubt about that. And maybe today is the day to start phasing that in. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in one game against the Barbarians, but it is a phased approach that has to start now.
Now, this guy is magic, guys. Seta Tamanivalu. He's got dancing feet, he's got skill and a bit of magic about him. I like this player, guys. He's going to play a lot of games for the All Blacks in future, and certainly a man to watch out for. Could it be a case of Ruan Jansen van Rensburg and Swys Venter having their hands full today, Nas? Because this guy is really good.
No, they will. You've got good opposition on the other side of the field. But the most important thing is, that's where we like to see the way they play and we enjoy the way they play, but it should all be about how we're playing, how we dominate, how we put our structure in place, how we put our game plan on the table and let them start reacting, because I think for too often lately we're reacting, we're not playing, and hopefully today we'll put ourselves really in a position where we control the whole scenario instead of waiting for somebody else.
And I think to your point about controlling the whole scenario, you can close a player like him down by denying him ball and space. And I think that's where the game's going to start for us.
Is it?
And the next guy, guys, I want to talk about him because he's got the ability as well to become a leader in a future Springbok team. Whether that's going to be, I don't know. But Francois Venter, for me, he's really impressed me now over the last couple of years. Last 2 years, he's been in fantastic form, Joel. You know, his leadership qualities, he inspires the guys around him. He's also got some good hands. So this player, we got to maybe, nurture or maybe fast track into the side because he's got all that it takes to be a good Springbok one day.
And he's versatile. You know, he's played at 12, he's played at 13 now in the Currie Cup outside Nico Lee. That combination has won a Currie Cup now, and he's captained a team to a Currie Cup champion status. And he what I like about him, and it'll come back to Nas's point, is his decision-making ability. He's able to execute, make no mistake. He's strong enough, powerful enough. But most importantly, his decision-making is superb. He knows when to let it go. He knows when to carry it back in, look for a forward and start play again. He's wide, tight, whatever is required. He gets the ball to the right space at the right time.
Nas, you like him?
Absolutely, and I thought he should have been involved a little bit earlier this year in the Springbok setup.
Well, certainly, Francois Venter, we look forward to see this exciting backline in action against the Barbas. And will they show us some magic? Because it's a massive opportunity. Whether that you play the Barbarians or against any kind of team for that matter, you still play in a Springbok jersey and the responsibility is massive. But one guy who's impressed the whole of South Africa and the rugby world for that matter is Sergio Peterson. Only 82 Ks. He was maybe about 7-8 Ks, heavier than me, at my peak. But certainly doing the business.
Not today.
Doing the business, and now he's up against real Fijian beef. 125 kilogram. Takele Naya Roboro. This guy is massive. He's big. But knowing Sergio Peterson, he's got the quality, Nas and Joel. And I'm really looking forward to see this guy in action.
See, Peterson really had a fantastic season. But Brighty, only because somebody create opportunities for him. And he's one of the few players from the outside, Joel, that actually look for work. And I think that's one thing that really impressed everybody. But the thing is, you can only have fantastic wingers, and you've been one, if we create opportunities for you guys. Because what is your real job? Your real job is to finish, isn't it?
And isn't it great that you have such variety between Sergio and Jumba? Because the two of them have very different assets that they bring to the game.
But they're good finishers.
Good finishers, yeah.
And that's why we like the midfield today, because I believe the midfield can really put them into the game. And that's what they need. And sometimes wings are really getting blamed for what? And in my days, I always loved it, Joel, in my day. The team loses, the first guy that get dropped is the wing. But he never had an opportunity. So it's like, please,
Joel and Nas, it doesn't matter you have these players. If they don't get the opportunity, if they don't get the space, the ball, it really means nothing. So let's go to the other guy. Elma spoke about him, Jumbo Lenga. Also, he's strong. This guy's been a sevens player. He's got skill. So we gotta have to be able to create, sort of some space for these guys to be able to express themselves, Joel. It's not going to help if we played the game plan we've been playing the whole year.
Yeah.
Jumbo Lenga, for me, also, guys, a player, a lot of flair about him, Joel.
Yeah, so he is a little bit bigger than Sergio Peterson, maybe a little bit stronger, but in every other sense, he's very similar. Great finisher, great pace, very skillful. He's played sevens, he understands the game, looks for work, slots in anywhere, comes from the other side, runs good lines. These are natural-born finishers, and these are the guys we need to get the ball to. Yeah. Sometimes size it's not that important. If you are playing against 125-kilogram Fijian beef, you go low, you make the tackles. But I want to see them ball in hand, and I want to see them with a little bit of space to attack.
Yeah. Okay. Well, certainly, Alma, this is what I want to see. Hopefully, these players will get opportunity, and hopefully, they'll make themselves proud, first of all, and the country proud.
Okay, gentlemen, predictions-wise, I'd like to start with where do you think the game will be won or lost for the Springboks, and then who you think will win this. Let's start with you, Joel.
So I think Malcolm Marx' throwing in at the lineouts is going to be vital today. He got a chance against the All Blacks. I thought he got chucked in the deep end and he panicked a little and missed his first 4 lineouts. So I think the set phase will be important. He's a good scrummager. His lineouts is going to be absolutely pivotal. If we can be strong in the first phase today, I think we'll free up space for the Springboks. It'll be that knock-on effect that sets us up for a good victory. But, us backs love to think we win the game. But we need the ball, and I think today it's going to start up front.
Okay. Springbok win?
I don't see anything else. I've said it from the start. This is not a great Barbarian side. It's a young Springbok team, or an invitation Bok team, whatever we call them. They have a lot to prove, and it's a wonderful opportunity for them, and I expect them to take it.
Nas?
The problem is for any team playing against the Barbarians, you're trying to get into that spirit and you want to start playing that game. Now, I believe there's enough skill in this team to actually play that. But it's like Joel said, we need the tight 5. We really need the tight 5 to step up, get the ball away from them, get us good ball, because we've got enough decision makers to give us a good win.
Okay, Brighton?
The Barbarians, they've got nothing to lose. They're going to go out and have fun. They're going to play and make it difficult for the Boks. The Boks got a lot to gain, so they need to be a little bit more conservative. from my experience playing for the Barbars, defence could be, you know, a bit of a challenge for them. So we need to exploit it as a Bok team. I'm going for a Bok victory to make it 4-all.
Okay, so will the 8th encounter in 64 years between the Barbarians and the Springboks signal the start of a new dawn, a new phase in South African rugby, or will this be a very tough christening for some fresh faces, 9 of them all in that match day 23? We'll have answers for you in just a few minutes as we count down to kick-off at Wembley Stadium in London between the Springboks and the Barbarians.